if things had worked like we thought they ought to when I came up here, when I came up to Hebron, and my wife was still living, but we had even talked about I was looking for a place to call home, and we was even thinking about buying a mobile home and put it on the backside of the lot up there.
Really?
But it never did come around. So I don't know what happened, but we didn't get it done. I've spent many good nights, days and nights there. Me and Uncle Hackey, he was too old to work, and I was too young to work. But we'd sit out there and play solitaire. Yeah, Harry was a frequent visitor up there. He and Harlan both, when they were younger, would walk up on Friday afternoon. They'd walk up the railroad and then out and spend the weekend with Uncle Hackey.
I'm sure that was special.
It was a special. It really was.
And on into Hunt School to go to school before we moved to Beech Creek Junction.
That was who?
Harry.
That was Harry.
And Clarabelle and Harlan, and I guess Leonard maybe taught at that school?
Yes, he did. I think that, I know my Aunt Severia taught there, and I say she's really special to me.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, but Leonard taught there, and I think that was the last rules. Now I went to Hugheskirk in the first through the fourth grade before we moved to the farm, and then afterwards I spent some time up there.
So did you attend Hunt School when you moved up to?
For a year I attended Hunt School.
Really? I don't think I knew that.
That's where I met Logie.
You're kidding.
She was in the first grade and I was in the fourth. I believe that's the way it goes. But her sister was my girlfriend in the fourth grade. You can imagine what kind of courting we did.
I don't think I knew that. Now, so you and your dad.
Helen Mohan, did you know Helen?
No.
Well, she was the teacher there when I went to school there, and when Logie went to school there. That was her first school. And
what year would that have been?
During the flood, 36, 37. We could stand at the back gate of Uncle Hackett's farm and look down on the water. Yeah, the biggest flood was 1937. 1913 was a mark in time, and but 37 was the largest flood, and I don't know when. I guess in 1950 it had a pretty good size rise.
Okay.
But when Aunt Kate died, we moved to Uncle Hackett's house to take care of him. See, Leonard was teaching in Hugheskirk and had
Yes.
the teachers there, so he couldn't be expected to take care of his dad. But so in 1936 and 7, we lived in Uncle Hackett's house, and so Dad got a job at Evan Sumner's grocery, and we moved to Penrod after 1 year at Uncle Hackett's house, and I graduated from there in 44.
Okay.
And Mom and Dad talked about moving to the farm.
Mm-hmm.
Aunt Severia needed someone to help her, and So then we moved, and they kept talking about moving the farm, and I said, Daddy, if you're really serious about moving, don't let me stand in your, I'll get back and forth to school somewhere. So we spent I guess it was, I guess it must have been in 36 that we moved up to the farm, in August of 36. And then Aunt Severa died in April.
Right.
And when she died, we moved into the big house.
Okay.
We lived in the little house.
I didn't know there was a separate house there. I knew she had a garage.
Do you know where the road veers off down the hill to
the Forgy Mill Road, and then, or her road.
Okay, you know where the gardener's place is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, just before you get to the gardener's place, there was a house on the right, and that was Aunt Sally Carroll. And so we lived in a small house that sat right across the road from the thing that went down the hill. And so when she died, well, Mom and Dad moved into the big house, and
had a big front porch on it, as big as Hackett's, if I remember. Same kind of.
You'd think that was the only houses in Gus, because Uncle Hackett had a house and Severa had a house, and they were the only houses in Gus that I know of that was painted.
Okay.
But anyway, we moved into Aunt Severa's house in April of 44, I believe it was.
Now, was Old Hebron holding services in the mid-30s? Did you go to Old Hebron, or?
No. There was just my dad and Jeff Hunt and Monroe Davidson and somebody else, I don't remember who it was. They kept up the cemetery. But nobody was preached there. Every once in a while somebody would preach there, but not on a regular basis.
Because New Hebron was already a church? Okay.
It was built in 1905.
Oh, I did not realize.
I believe it was 1905. Now, I could be wrong about it, but I think that, and it wasn't used, and then it wasn't used as a church anymore. They all went to 1905. They went to New Hebron.
Sure.
When they built it there, the old wooden building.
Did you ever attend an Old Hebron service, or?
Yes, I've been there a few times, but not on a regular basis. Just if somebody was holding a meeting or something like that. A lot of us, of course, I graduated in 44, and by the time I got out of service, they didn't have any regular meetings.
Right.
But every once in a while somebody would come and they'd want to use it on a Sunday afternoon or something like that. And yeah, we attended some of those services.
But you said your dad was taking care of the grounds even then?
My dad and Monroe Davidson and Jeff Hunt. And it seemed like there was somebody else, but I can't. Always a fellow from Rochester. I can't remember the name. But they would go up there 2 or 3 times. Now, I've been up there when Aunt Severa was living, and I'd go with her on Decoration Day, and we'd clear up around the Anderson Platte, and and then she'd always put the mussel shells around the ground on the grave. I don't know what but they take mussel shells and decorate the grave with it.
That's any meaning behind that you know of?
I never could figure out what, but you can just imagine if you turn them upside down and make a shape of the coffin there.
Well, they're pretty.
Yeah,
and I guess the pearl looking.
Well, it kept the grass from growing up
Well,
on it too.
I've never heard that. And of course now she's buried there.
Yeah, she's buried there. Do you have a picture of her and well, several people around?
Yes.
Taken in front of the garage.
That's right.
Yeah.
And one picture, and she's just laughing, just had the biggest smile on her face. She's holding a dog, and it says, Harry wrote its name was Nipper.
Nipper.
And she's got the biggest smile on her face standing in front of that garage with that dog.
Nipper Jane.
Was that her companion after Uncle Tom passed away?
Till the mange got her. But Aunt Severa never would give that dog up. I mean, the mange, she didn't have hair on her. But she loved that dog.
Well, at least I think at least in that picture the dog still had hair. Maybe it was early enough.
Yeah.
But now she didn't drive. She didn't have a car in the garage, did she, or did she?
She bought a car. That's an interesting story. I'm going to share that with you. She bought a car. LB Knight.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only car that ever was back in that area until we moved up there. And but she bought the car, and she had hired somebody to drive her, go to Lewisburg or Greenville, and she'd have somebody come in and take her to wherever she wanted to go.
What?
Aunt Severa was a very different person. She was modern. She was really modern. She had a garage. She had the barns, and behind the house was the old log frame house, and the John Hunt, not John, but I can't even think of what the name was.
There was a log home on her property?
That's right. It was, well, if you could spit real good, you could spit from her back door into the, because it was as close from here to the wall over there.
Oh, okay.
But it was a log house, and it was her smokehouse, and she kept meat in there, smoked it in there, hams hanging up in there.
How about that? Was she getting by on a pension from Uncle Tom?
$12 a month. That wasn't much. Aunt Severa was not a banker. She in the later years she had a bank account, but she kept her money in a cream can. She had one bucket with her usable money in it, and she had another one that was going to pay for the car. And many times she'd say, we'd go to Gus, and she'd say, now you go on ahead, I've got some business to tend to. It was either to go to the bathroom or to she'd have that bucket, with her. And she got her bucket and then went out to LB Knight's, and she was going to buy a car. And she said, there's the money. Said, it's counted out. And
pay for a car in cash.
Yeah, pay for a car.
In a cream can.
Right, absolutely right. And so Mr. Knight, or one of his workers, was counting the money out, and they said, Miss Severa said, you say there's nothing there paid for the car? And she said, yeah, there was. And he said, well, you're short just a little bit. And she went and looked in the can to see why there wasn't enough money in there to pay for the car, because she'd already down. She looked at it. She looked at it and she said, "Uh-oh, I brought the wrong bucket." Mr. Knight told me that himself. Well, I've seen it when it's grown up, and the fact is, I've mowed it when I was able to mow it. Edgar Hunt. That's Slide's uncle.
Okay.
He mowed before we did. And the fact is, I took over from him, and then mowed several years. My wife weed eating, and that's when we formed the whatever it is.
Just the trusteeship.
Trusteeship.
For the property.
Yeah. That's when they took over.
Well, it looks good. I was just there a couple of weeks ago.
I haven't been up there in a long time. Well, I hope that you've got something maybe that you can work with.
Well, I just want folks to know how much you care. That's really.
Well, that'll be a close spot for me the rest of my time. I'll always know that old Hebron is there.